Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the MFA in Writing and Publishing and Certificate in Publishing graduation ceremony. My name is Rita Banerjee. I'm the director of this program, and today we'll be honoring the students who completed their MFA in Writing and Publishing or Certificate in Publishing this semester. And our graduating students will also share a portion of their creative work or say thanks during the ceremony. We typically hold the ceremony each year in College Hall Chapel on VCFA's campus in Montpelier, Vermont. And while we could not celebrate in person this year due to the circumstances of the pandemic, we're delighted to be able to honor our graduating class of 2021 through this virtual ceremony and celebrate this moment with friends, family, writing colleagues around the world. For the last 3 years, I have had the honor to direct VCFA's MFA in Writing and Publishing program, which is the only 2-year residential program at the college. This program focuses on a robust multi-genre education with a strong emphasis on publishing. And our certificate in publishing program is designed for writers and professionals who seek experience and insight into the publishing industry. In both of these programs, our students have the opportunity to study and practice poetry, fiction, nonfiction, playwriting, and screenwriting, and learn from a network of editors, agents, freelancers, publishers, audiobook experts, and leaders from the publishing world, many of whom are here today. And the graduates of our MFA in Writing and Publishing program and Certificate in Publishing program have been so successful because of all of the community members, from our faculty and staff to students and alumnus to the administration of VCFA who have supported our program over the years. This graduation marks a bittersweet moment, as this will be the last semester in which we'll offer the residential MFA in Writing and Publishing program and residential Certificate in Publishing program here at VCFA. This decision has been made especially difficult given the circumstances of the pandemic. However, this past year, I have seen students, faculty, staff, and alumnus in our community show up for each other time and time again. I've been so proud of the ways in which this community continues to strive and support each other. The MFA and the Certificate in Publishing graduates of the class of 2021 are so talented, brave, resilient, and brilliant. And as a community, we look forward to celebrating the achievements of our graduates far into the future. Before we begin our programming for this afternoon, I would like to acknowledge a few people, and I would like them to wave on camera if they are here when they're introduced. First, I would like to acknowledge and thank the faculty and staff of the MFA in Writing and Publishing program, especially our program assistant, Sarah Leamy, and faculty member and editor of Hunger Mountain, Erin Stalcup, for the beautiful community that they have helped build and nourish. I would also like to thank our academic dean, Matthew Monk, and Vice President for Student Services, David Markow, for all of their support of our students, faculty, and staff. And a special thanks to our former staff member, Lizzie Fox, Xinyi Pai, Stephanie Rich, and Karen Sigurnowitz. Thank you to our bursar, Edna King, our registrar, Jody Monsall, our library, mailing and facilities staff, the college store, and to our Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Howie LaPlanco, for all the support they have provided to our students over the last few years. So now, without further ado, I would like to introduce our student speaker of this afternoon, Ruth Amara Okolo.
Hi, everyone. Once again, I just want to say congratulations to my cohort, the 2021 MFA Writing and Publishing class. We did it. It's like, till now, I still can't believe that we actually did this. We survived through a pandemic. We focused on our work, and even though it was really hard, I know how hard it was for us, especially here at Global Hall, but we did it. I'm so proud of everyone. I'm going to be reading a very short, I'll say speech, but it's just a
I think our Wi-Fi in the student dormitories is just a little slow, so we'll give Amara a moment to jump back on the call. So hold tight, everyone.
Can you hear me? Okay, sorry about that. So I'm going to read a very short I'm just like, I reminisce on how I came to Vermont, and just all through the time I was here, I never left Vermont till today. I haven't left the state, and I'm just thinking about being here with everyone from 2019 to this moment. And I wrote something to show how I felt from then till now. I remember the exact day and time I arrived at VCFA, 29th August 2019 at approximately 1:15 a.m. My layover in New York had lasted 7 hours, and the plane only took off from Burlington at 10:30 p.m. for a journey that had lasted a day from Abuja, Nigeria to Montpelier, Vermont. I was exhausted, fatigued, but beyond all, I was so excited. Uka had been waiting up for me, and when I walked through the doors of Glover Hadley Hall, the early hours of that morning, my heart knew joy of no bounds. For a young woman with a heart of ambition and a head full of dreams, I felt like I had finally come full circle. I was going to get a master's degree in writing, a promise I had made to my mother just 3 months before she died in 2017. My time here at VCFA has been through all emotions: joy, happiness, fulfillment, doubt, anxiety, pain, sadness, depression. But the most I have felt here, and recently what I feel more than ever right now, is complete. I wake up every day knowing I made the right decision to pack my bags, get on a plane, and leave for the United States, a place where I could come to fulfill my dreams, at least some of them, as an artist. I had no major expectations when I came here. I just wanted to be free, to produce my work and my art to any limits it would go, and to enjoy the essence of being somewhere where I could say in one breath, without feeling inadequate, without feeling small, that I am an artist. But as time went on, as I enrolled into classes, I met and became friends with the rest of my cohort. When I began to learn the ways of writing from a faculty that shared their hearts and knowledge with us, I saw myself having more expectations of not just being a writer, but creating my work beyond how I had viewed it. I experimented with poetry, a genre I had once hesitated expressing myself with. I wrote screenplays. I began to see my work in a different light, taking risks and routes that I may have felt unpleasant with, but was necessary for my work to grow, to flourish, and become the best of what it would be in the future. I know I do not speak for myself alone in this regard, because I believe my colleagues share the same with me. To my class of 2021 MFA in Writing and Publishing, I'm so proud of you all. We did it. We pushed through a hard year. We focused on our work. It was difficult with the pandemic, but we still stayed strong and we wrote so much. On this note, I want to say thank you to everyone who made this happen. To my advisor, Dr. Rita Banerjee, thank you so much for your patience and guidance through these years, your belief in my work and how great it can become. To Erin Stalcom, my thesis reader, thank you for your kindness, your praise and absolute regard for my work. To Lizzie, I would always say I owe all this to you because you believed in me so much when I was back in Nigeria and how consistently you made the path to come to Vermont possible. I can never forget that day you called me with the news and I burst into tears when I was sitting in a rickshaw on my way from work that evening in Nigeria. And in a way, I just saw my future open from that phone call. Thank you so much for everything. I will always appreciate you never giving up on me. To the members of my faculty, Francis Cannon, Makaya, Sean Prentice, Bob Spillman, Elissa Chappelle, everyone else, I'm so grateful for your teachings, workshops, and your encouragement through all my years here. To Uka and Noni, my sisters, thank you for making my years at VCFA fun and accommodating, showing me the trenches for my support. I'm indebted to you and grateful for your friendship. I love you two so much, and I hope that this will not be the end of the road for both of us. To Molly, thank you for being such an amazing person. I can never forget how wonderful you are and continue to be. From the first month of being here in Montpelier, you stood by me. It was like you knew me, but you you didn't before meeting me, but you were always there for me. Thank you so, so much. To Sarah, my fellow cat person, thank you for being such a wonderful friend and support. To Antonio, your laughter made me so happy, and I'm so grateful to have shared a class with someone as graceful and inspiring as you are. Dala, I appreciate your kindness as my friend and my next door neighbor. I'd always appreciate all the things you have done for me, and also for having Pranell, who keeps me company sometimes. To Sam, my bestie, Imogen, Amanda, Nina, Hassan, Philip, thank you so much for being such wonderful people. In your own way, you have taught me so much as a writer and altogether as a person. I'll definitely miss you all. And I won't forget my then manager at Cafe Anna, who I had the absolute delight of working with. And of course, Anna, of course. Thank you for being such a wonderful manager, Jay. I'm thankful for how you gave me my first experience of working in the United States. Probably now I could do it if I want to, but let's see how that goes. As my mother would say in our native Igbo language, the end of the journey is only the beginning. Well, I believe my life begins once again today, and I can say for the same for all of us at the MFA, the 2021 MFA candidates of the Writing and Publishing program. Thank you so, so much. I love you all.
Thank you so much, Amara. Thank you. Next, I'd like to welcome to our Zoom stage our faculty speaker, fiction faculty and editor of Hunger Mountain, Erin Stelka.
Thank you so much, Rita. I got my second shot yesterday, which is terrible timing, but I was singing Hamilton in my head the whole time. I'm not gonna miss my shot. Just like my country, I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not gonna miss my shot. And I wish I could sing for you like the poet Ross Gay, but I can't. But I figured if Imelda Guitama could come to class with COVID, I could come to class twice vaccinated. And none of my forthcoming ridiculous statements can be attributed to my ratcheted up immune system because I wrote these remarks in advance. I'm tempted to just read you all Ross Gay's catalog of unabashed gratitude and call that a graduation speech because I am so grateful. But you've all heard me talk about that poem enough. And you know where to find it. Waxwing. I'll quote one phrase from it though. Thank you, what in us rackets glad, what glad rackets us. We are unabashed. Some of you were in module with me the day we read a story called Quarantine, the day we went into quarantine. The module where we read Carmen Maria Machado writing about global pandemic just as we entered one. My 3 years here have been full of such coincidences, most of them joyful. What a year it has been. Thank goodness I had you all by my side. Congrats, grads. You are fucking badass. And sorry to the parents. I figured I'd just get the cursing out of the way up front because it's bound to happen sooner or later. Thank you for choosing me to give this speech. It's an honor. I gave this speech my first year here, and then I gave each of the graduates a word that encapsulated them to me. Last year, my now ex-husband gave this speech. This year, I can't give each of you grads just a word. So I'm gonna say a sentence about each of you. They will be filled with inside jokes, and no, we will not explain them. And later you'll hear more about each of these remarkable people from our faculty, and you'll hear from them themselves. Sarah fucking Stancliffe, you wrote the book I needed to read this year. Thank you. Imogen and Sam, I'm going to start by introducing you two together, but you are not the same person, so I will differentiate soon. Once in class, FSS said I had BDE, and for those of you who weren't there, we are not going to explain this inside joke. Imogen said she had NDE, and Sam said she had LDE. Not true. Sam, you make me think of the Shakespeare quote, though she be but little, she is fierce. Your energy seems little because you're quiet, but you are always listening. And when you speak, you are fierce. Imogen, there is nothing medium about you. except maybe that you serve as a medium, a bridge to other worlds. August is the perfect name for the son who will inherit your impressive wisdom. Welcome to the world, kid. I hope you like it here. Darla, I admire your lyricism and your swagger. Thank goodness someone in the world loves punk, indigenous culture, and Celtic shit as much as I do. Noni, I once told a former student that she was always the baddest bitch in the room, but then I had to clarify to her, unless Noni is in that room, because if Noni is in that room, Noni is always the baddest bitch in the room. It's an honor to know the person that you have created. Hassan, I admire your huge heart, your fierce intellect, and your exquisite prose. Molly, you are ferocious, and that mixed with your kindness is something I aspire to. Amanda, you're the writer I wish I were. You might be the only person on the planet who loves William H. Gass as much as I do. We've shared similar experiences, but the way you translate them to the page is a gift. Amara, you are a gift to my nation. I'm so glad we got to borrow you. Thank you for showing us your world. Philip, you are tenacious, and that you have endured all that you have and kept your good spirits and your humor is a testament to your intelligence. Thank you for always being the best read person in the room. Corey, if I was as good at one thing as you are at everything you do, I would be famous. Don't forget us, you genius rock star. Nina, your work is groundbreaking. I admire how you see what's never been done before and just do the damn thing. Dr. Antonio Brown, you decided to become a writer, and in 2 years, you just did it. The world will be a better place with your vision of justice in it. It's a testament to the program that Trini and Juliana and Micaiah built, and that Rita and I and the rest of our remarkable faculty built upon, that I am certain that each of you graduates is writing a book, not a thesis, a book. When I was a grad student, I wrote a thesis, and none of that made it into my first book. But I truly believe in each of your projects, and I'm so excited for them to be out into the world. It's a sign of a good curriculum that my students don't need me anymore. You have taught me more than I could ever teach you. One of the challenges of really getting my students as writers is that not everyone will. I'm sending you out into a world where you will certainly be rejected. But when that happens, please remember, you sacrificed something to be here. You fought some battle. Each of your battles was different, but you each had to fight to be here. And you did that because you believe in your writing. And I do too. Quick thank you to the first years who under challenging circumstances really showed up. Quick congrats to those graduating with their certificates in publishing today. Good work, Imelda, Eli, and Zoe. I'm very glad certain people aren't in this room because today we get to just be ourselves. Last graduation, I couldn't keep my face from showing my displeasure and my anger at how this administration of this institution has treated us. And I am still angry. And as Rage Against the Machine teaches us, anger is a gift. But you all have given me much bigger gifts than that. Joy, delight, gratitude, awe, and community. It's just us today, and we're still us. Let's keep unabashedly being ourselves. Let's glad rack it. When I interviewed for this job, I admitted that I come on a little strong. Thanks for rolling with me and for welcoming me and for seeing me. This truly has been my dream job. What we have done together is magnificent, and writing and publishing is going out on a high note. This feels like my last chance to say everything to you that there is to say, but it isn't. There is so much more to say. We're in each other's lives forever. I'm finishing writing this speech early on a beautiful Vermont morning on Mother's Day, watching my daughter sleep. I am filled with hope and gratitude. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Erin. That was so powerful and so brave. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I would like to introduce the members of our Certificate in Publishing class of 2021. I will call each graduate to the Zoom podium, and they will either read from their recent work or say a few words of thanks or comments about the program. First, I would like to congratulate and welcome our Certificate in Publishing graduate, Zoe Adam, to the stage. If Zoe is here, please say hello. Is Zoe here? Okay, let's give a round of applause for Zoe. Congratulations, Zoe. Okay. Next, I would like to congratulate and welcome our Certificate in Publishing graduate, Imelda Guitima, to the stage. Welcome, Imelda.
Thank you, Rita. So my 2 minutes. Coming into VCFA, I had no idea what to expect. But thanks to UCA, I knew I'd be safe as a writer. It's always a good sign of if an alum is an advocate of a school, and I'm glad I took that chance. Thank you to Lizzie for being a believer and making money appear out of nowhere. Thank you to Rita, to Erin, to Micaiah, and all my professors for understanding of time zones, book challenges, and allowing me to take days when I needed them, and I really needed them. Thank you, Eli and Zoe, for listening to my speech about getting the certificate, even if it meant extra classes. To Amara and Noni for agreeing with me that having a ghost at a school is un-African, but still rocking with it anyway. Thank you to my sister for making this happen for me. My sister's on this call. Thank you so much, Chihira, for looking for everything and just being my supporter. I started my degree the week after my dad died, broken but hopeful. But thank you to this community for making everything happen. Thank you for giving me a community that I will no doubt be a part of forever. And thank you for giving me my silver lining. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Imelda. That was beautiful. Thank you. Next, I would like to congratulate and welcome to our Zoom stage Certificate in Publishing graduate, Eli Jacobs. So Eli, if you're here, feel free to
I am here. I probably should have written some sort of thank you thingy, but there's too many people in this program to thank, from the second years, the first years, the faculty. All of you have been absolutely amazing, stunning beyond compare. I have been through a lot over the course of this school year. We all have, and you guys have somehow given me an amazing and beautiful experience without ever having met me, and I can't thank you enough. I especially want to thank Micaiah for holding an extra class so that we could get the certificate, and Erin for letting us cry in her class. But everyone else, please know that every single one of you has made my life such a bright thing this year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eli. Thank you. So now I would like to introduce the members of the MFA in Writing and Publishing class of 2021. Each graduate will be introduced by a person of their choosing who may be a thesis advisor or faculty member. I will introduce each speaker and graduate, and as I do the introductions, I'd like each pair to turn on their microphones. Following the introduction of each graduate, our graduating students will have the opportunity to say thank you or read from their thesis. I will then introduce the next pair and so on. And each pair will have approximately 5 minutes or so to present. So to lead this portion of the ceremony, I would like to welcome Hassan AJ Al-Shiouk, who will be introduced by fiction faculty and former director of the MFA in Writing and Publishing program, Micaiah Beigalt. Welcome.
Yay, what a pleasure it is to be able to introduce Hassan. I'm going to talk fast so I can say everything in only 2 minutes. I actually very distinctly remember the first time that I met Hassan. because it was just so much fun to talk to him. I remember thinking, here is this beautiful, bright, focused, engaging young writer, and what a pleasure to hear his take on the world and to watch him engage with the things he's passionate about. And so I just have to talk about a couple of the things that Hassan is passionate about. We will always remember Hassan as a lover of Virginia Woolf. He is also a person who appreciates a complicated sentence. I remember last year in sentence clinic, when we were diagramming sentences, the other students told me they'd seen Hassan up late diagramming Virginia Woolf on the whiteboard in the dorm. And is that true? I think that's true. And you know that, of course, this thrilled me to my core. I have also witnessed, I have to mention, Hassan's formidable skill at a cocktail party. And a really amazing thing happened these past 2 years, which is that Hassan did a couple of internships almost by accident. They just sort of fell in his lap at the high school, mentoring promising young teen writers. And he was so good at it. He created the most beautiful, thorough syllabi for these lucky kids, and he just took them on this whirlwind of a creative writing course. I think it was way more than they expected. He showered them with all of his love for literature, but broken down into these wonderful little digestible pieces. And he really lights up when he talks about teaching. So one thing that I've just realized about Hassan, and I think he has too, is that he's a natural teacher, and this is a calling. This is his calling. It's going to be a great love of his life alongside writing, which is really exciting to me. Okay, so the idea for Hassan's thesis has, I think, really haunted him for maybe years at this point, haunted in the best possible way. Okay, so this novel that he is working on spans decades, centuries, and takes a multi-generational, multi-continental look at the pearl diving industry, the whale hunting industry, the oil industry, the fashion industry, and the ways in which individuals' lives are affected by it. And he has done research. He's read book after book. He's pored over historic photos. He's studied the art of writing historic fiction. I know that he is proud of the way that this historical fiction project has helped him reconnect with his heritage. And I will also say that in Sentence Clinic last year, we workshopped one of the most exquisite sentences that I've ever seen, and it was from this thesis. So I just need to say Hassan has been awarded the Mari Sandoz Emerging Writer Fellowship in Nebraska, so that's where he's off to in June after graduation. I'm so proud of you, Hassan, and congratulations, my dear. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Micaiah, for that introduction. Oh my God. Hi, everyone. It's so wonderful to see you all and to be here. I will go ahead and read for part of an excerpt from my thesis that I have been working on. I really struggle working on this thesis that required a lot of historical fiction research, and doing it through a pandemic with so many roadblocks and so much writer's block as well. But then when it happened, and I'll read you a part where I managed to finish a chapter, but also my character managed to break through and go on his first diving trip. This takes place in the Persian Gulf, Arabian Gulf, in 1925. On his second day at sea, he starts diving with everyone else. At the sight of the first light, divers have already been in and out of water. The stack of collected oysters grow. Shuckers begin sharpening their knives. Salah is no longer a newcomer now that he has been through this before. He sits on the edge of the ship along with the divers lining up both sides. The force of the split bone clipping his nostrils shut is now tolerable after experiencing the pressure of diving under. The scratchy rope on the back of his neck from which the empty oyster net hangs over his chest is now familiar. He places the metal weight beside him and holds its handle tight within his grip. His hauler, who's holding the rope over one last time to check on the rope, knotted safely around his ankle. Salah plunges into the water. Splashes of cold and salty water cover his face and coat his tongue. He takes a deep and sharp breath and lets the weight pulls him under. Here's the fast blurriness of the sea once more. The weight pulls him farther below. He looks around and he realizes that he too is like an arrow flying downwards, shooting towards the seabed. But here it is once again, the pain that drills through his ears and through the back of his eyes. Climbing that palm tree won't be easy. He recalls Saud's words in those early days of training him at the palm fields. The barks are out to prick you. Your hands will bruise, your feet will bruise, the sharp fronds will find you, but you do it anyway. You get used to it, even when swarms of bees are out to sting you. And before you know it, you can go anywhere in your mind while working the fields. Your body remembers every step and allows you and guides you. Before you know it, you have crates full of red golden dates. Then there is the seabed once again. Corals shelter, small fish swimming in and out of its swaying purple strands. The closer he gets, the more visible the scattered oysters are all over the white sand. He kicks the white water, directing his body towards it. With a swift move, he grabs his first oyster and drops it into the basket. The second, a few corals away, and here's the third and fourth. Before reaching for the fifth, panic sends him tugging the rope, and out he goes. When he's back on the ship, he lies numb against the deck, catching his breath. The start of prosperity, men around the ship shout, and above seagulls fly towards the west. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hassan. That was lovely. Next, I would like to welcome to our Zoom stage Nina Apasami, who will be introduced by fiction faculty and editor of Hunger Mountain, Erin Stelka.
Thank you. Since I've already said a little bit about each student, the ones I'm introducing, I tried to keep my remarks brief, but I'm known to go on a little. Nina, the world needs more weirdos like you, more word nerds, more inventors of new worlds. You make it new. Go be a writer and a lawyer, because why not? You are up for any challenge.
Thank you, Erin. Before I read, I'm going to read a couple short poems, but I would like to thank everyone for the incredible experience I've had over the last 2 years, in spite of all the upheaval and turmoil in our world. I am so grateful for my beautiful classmates and friends, for my sagely and wonderful professors and mentors, and for my extraordinary and inspiring family, especially Mom, Dad, Sonia, of course, Lily also. I feel really blessed to have you all in my life, and I couldn't have gotten to this point without your love and support. All right. Armor. Dewdrops bathe my face, my spirit writhing at change's grueling dagger, bowing, winding in my sinews so elemental I cannot taste it. That's the beauty of real life, of the dandelions I ignore till the beckoning of a bluff. It's the malice of revision. Ruthless she is in the shadow of passion flowers, molded from tears by nostalgia's hob. I decry these empty razors, these toothless poisons, these thorned laces that hold my wrists. I keep my mind turned away, pushed beneath blankets of fairies and dust and universes never written. I hate what has been spoken, until even those whispers are wrested from my mouth, dangled in the closet of my psyche with all the other fictions out of reach. I am so tired, oh so jaded. Take me away, fables. The next one is called Monsters. Monsters, beastly, ghastly, in the dark, pattering on the stubborn bars. The heart does race in the dead of night where dahlias flutter in lunar palms, smiling at the destinies mingling in worlds untouched. Beastly, hungry, the torrential snarls that immolate the sky drowning velvet crowns ignite the intrepid tongue in chaos, beautiful, Critters hummed in the eve, harmonizing with the rain, with the breath trembling the trees, floating petals. The moon is hidden tonight, but the stars persist, incorrigible, fiery paragons and their lasting blinks. Fir wood, the scent of figs and dew, eternal for a moment, framed. Therein lie the monsters rumored to quake, but the real talon rests in the bolts of day. The last thing I'll read is a poem called Memo. Music flows from atoms dead, when the universe decays into battered story, forgotten, relinquished, relished, once. The rhythm tangles the starlight's curls, braiding leaves and ash into galvanizing bullshit. Unkempt, uncaged, untouched, the music like scrapped petals falls into the eternal chasm from whence red angels fell flat, notes end, cut, the finale, melody, memory. That's all.
Thank you so much, Nina. That was lovely. Next, I would like to welcome back Erin Stalcup, who will say a few words about our MFA graduate, Imogen Boldler Archer, who is attending to a newborn right now and thus could not be at the ceremony today. Welcome, Erin.
I'm going to talk to Imogen, imagining that she'll watch this recording at some point, even though she's being a mom right now. Imogen, you have handled so much with grace and ferocity. Mother, writer, witch, friend. Amidst everything you've been accomplishing, you've also taken the time to comfort me. August is in very good hands.
Thank you so much, Erin. Now I have the honor of introducing MFA graduate, Dr. Antonio Brown. I am absolutely delighted to introduce Dr. Antonio Brown, who is receiving his MFA in Writing and Publishing after a long, illustrious career as Professor of Political Science at Loyola Marymount University and Scholar in Residence at UCLA's Public Policy and African American Studies programs. He has been an honored recipient of a number of academic awards and fellowships, including the National Science Foundation Fellowship, the American Political Science Association Ralph Bunche Award, and the James Irvine Fellowship at Stanford University. Prior to joining us here at VCFA, Dr. Brown served as the president of the board of directors of the American Civil Liberties Union of Southern California and has served as a member of the board of directors of the ACLU National Organization and the board of directors of the KCET Television PBS in Los Angeles. His story, Strange Fruit, appears in For Colored Boys, an anthology which won the American Library Association Award, and he has contributed to the column Room for Debate in the New York Times. And while at VCFA, Antonio has been a bedrock member of our community. He has served on our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee here in the college. He has spoken up for our community and represented our concerns when we needed him most. And he has been a brilliant intellectual thinker and an imaginative and subversive creative writer. I'm especially excited about the two new full-length books Antonio has been working on while here at VCFA. In his first book project, Antonio is writing a memoir called Comfort Foods, Surviving Grief, Caretaking, and the Ego with Recipes, in which he examines his family lore and homemade recipes in direct contrast to the experiences of social violence that his family experienced during the Great Migration and Jim Crow era in the United States. And for his MFA thesis, Antonio is working on a novel called A Magical Negro, in which Kaz, a Black law professor, is a magically gifted Black man on a mission with his coven to have their pick for the next Supreme Court justice confirmed. Kaz must work with his coven to overcome intergenerational differences, fend off witch hunters, and stay united together as they attempt to conjure a new history of the United States. Antonio is re-envisioning the future of America and giving a new meaning to its past through his nonfiction and fiction, and I cannot wait to see what provocative and insightful work he produces next. Thank you, Antonio, for all that you do and all your support this year. It is my great honor to welcome Dr. Antonio Brown to the stage.
Thank you so much, Ria. Up until now, I've been able to hide my fogged up glasses and tears off camera, but thank you to everyone for welcoming me and encouraging me on this new creative path. And I'll just take a minute to share a farewell from if I'm allowed to have a favorite character, I guess it's like having a favorite child. They're all my favorites, but my favorite character, Malik, from the novel A Magical Negro. I am blessed to know Ms. Castillo, Malik says. When Kaz and I were roommates in Ann Arbor, we'd get away to Chicago to party time. Ms. Castillo put us up and put up with us in our partying weekends over those years and the years to come. She was an old school Southern woman, so coming home to late night refrigerator raids meant hearing late night dish over her slim and sweet potato pie. And like my own grandmother, Miss Castillo had other carryovers from our Southern heritage. Neither one of them believed in ending any conversation or visit with a goodbye. It was always, see you next time. Make sure to take a plate with you. Or best of all, when y'all gonna be back? And so I won't say goodbye today, Mama Castillo, because I know you'll be watching over us and we will see you again soon. Ashe. We all respond with her. Ashe.
Thank you so much, Antonio. Thank you. Next, I would like to welcome Darla R. Hitchcock, who will be introduced by Erin Stelka.
Darla, soul sister, it's been a pleasure and an honor to watch you come back into yourself as a writer and to learn about your journey through your work. You are a badass. Your work doesn't shy away from the horrors ahead of us or those behind us, but your vision of compassion, community, and cooperation are necessary. Thank you for challenging and clarifying the ways I think about both gender and age.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Erin. Thank you, everyone. This has been an interesting but ultimately great couple of years. So I've been working on this novel for years and years. Since 2013 was the first paragraph I ever wrote on it. And it's set in a time when a mystery illness has killed off 2/3 of the population of Earth, and people are taking it upon themselves to rebuild society. Imagine my chagrin when suddenly we were in a pandemic. Oh my God. So anyway, I'm going to read a section about a character that was originally not my favorite person. Like, I didn't like her. I didn't like her as a character. I just didn't like her. And over the past few months, I've gotten to know her, and now I love her. She, at this point, she has just broken up with her husband. She has just had a baby. She now lives in the cottage across a little roadway from her husband, so she can see him every day. And it's really, she broke things up. She was just, yeah, kind of did stupid things. Angela tried to keep the curtains closed, trying to block out the reminders, but she couldn't help herself. In so many things, she just couldn't help herself. In this instance, however, she couldn't keep from peering out of the closed curtain, spying on Kay, watching his full life and comparing it to her empty one. He caught her at it, this peeping, once, twice, and almost a third time before she thought better of things and took to living in the back of the cottage, where the wide windows overlooked fields and trees and the river, views that gave her some solace instead of increasing her pain. She sat at the kitchen table while she nursed Rose, watching, seeing the light shift, sometimes with silent tears falling onto Rose's tiny head. Other times, she sat silent, always watching, hoping somehow something would show her the way out of the muck her life had become. She tried to be calm and happy when she played with Rose, tried to keep her sadness at bay, hoping to raise a happy child. In the evenings, though, when Kay took the baby for daddy time, Angela let loose and wailed. She called the banshees with her grief, and the owl that hooted in the sycamore tree just off the back porch, she took as a sign of the death she had suffered, the death of the woman she had always been, the woman who had always known how to behave with men. Now she felt as though she had no place in this world, not with men, not with women. Her daughter needed her, of course, for feeding, if nothing else. But how long would that last? And her dog. He slept in the cottage mostly, but spent his days and evenings with Bear and Kay, abandoned even by her dog. This thought made her weep all the more. Even him, she thought, opening the back door and walking down to the river in her bare feet. She sat on the shore, toes buried in the sand, and felt her desolation in every pore. If even her dog, who had been with her in everything for the past 9 years, if even he had abandoned her, what did she have in this life? Who could she count on? She watched the moon rise, listened to the owl hoot, and muddled in her own misery. She almost enjoyed it. Almost. Well, maybe she did enjoy it. It felt right that she should be miserable since she was the one who had driven everything good away from her. She might as well enjoy it, this long, mucky wallow of hers. Then she heard a sound behind her, and something dark burst through the bushes at the side of the path. Max, there to shower her with doggy kisses and make her laugh, which she did, all the while realizing that this feeling of being abandoned by everything that was good in the world was just as much of a delusion as her thinking that Kay was going to leave her for Shayla, or that Shayla was trying to steal her man. This struck her as funny, as did the antics of her dog, who was determined to keep the laughter going and save his mistress from her human agony and get her involved in some good old-fashioned doggy play. Angela got up and chased him, and he chased her, and it was the first time she had experienced joy, mirth, and giggles in more weeks than she could remember. She crouched down, arms raised, monster growls mixing with her laughter. Max attacked, ran past her, then set to stalking her until she ran, feinting left, then right, till roles reversed again. When she finally collapsed again into the sand with her still wiggling dog, she realized that she'd had a breakthrough, an epiphany. She'd seen a bit of future that carried happiness, and she owed it all to her loving and loyal knight in shining dog fur. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was lovely, Darla. Thank you. Thank you. Next, thank you. That reminds me of Parnell for some odd reason. Love it. Thank you, Darla. Next, I would like to welcome Samantha Keller, who will be introduced by Erin Stalcup.
Sam, it has been a pleasure and an honor to watch you hit your stride as a writer, to watch you learn that you're good and you're writing a really good book and you're changing the genre. You don't need me anymore. You got this. But I'm so glad I get to keep you as my wise and brilliant friend.
You, Erin. That was really kind. I'm going to read a short section from my thesis. I'll try to keep it brief. Nate struck a match and lit his torch, holding it in front of him as he entered the cave. The firelight bounced off the rocky walls, casting shadows across the moss and fungi growing there. Most of the tunnels within Mount Vero led to a central cavern that housed the dragon's hoard, and the dragon herself. Nate had been able to acquire a map of the mountain, and it was fairly easy to discern the correct path to stay on. It wasn't unlike a lot of the work he used to do, which was probably why Sylvie gave him this job. He wasn't used to working alone, but this was his chance to prove his usefulness to the guild. Nate froze when he heard a clicking noise from further down the tunnel. He drew his sword and held the torch higher in his right hand. "Is someone there?" he said, keeping his voice quiet as he knew sound traveled far underground. The clicking stopped. The tunnel was silent for a moment, until there was a clatter and Nate was being rushed at by a skeleton. He deflected it easily, batting its skull and shoving his torch into his ribs. The skeleton crumbled, some of the bones turning to ash. "Right?" Nate tapped the skull with the toe of his boot. Sylvie didn't mention this. Nate continued on, gripping the hilt of his sword a bit tighter. He'd dealt with necromancers before, and reanimated skeletons were easier to destroy than cursed corpses. Unfortunately, the mages that created them were usually pretty powerful. He turned a corner and was faced with 2 more skeletons. As he traversed the tunnels, slicing down as he went, he noticed he was getting closer to a light source of some kind. The dull gray stone was illuminated gold, and he felt a rush of hot air hit his face. A deep, rumbling voice echoed through the caverns. Who dares enter the domain of Vero the Undying? Well, that'll be the dragon, he thought to himself. He shuffled around a curve in the wall and found himself meeting the gaze of a large, ancient golden dragon. Her eyes shone like rubies with pupils that narrowed into thin slits when she noticed him. She was undeniably beautiful, with shimmering scales the size of dinner plates and likely tough enough to deflect the strongest of blows. She sat atop a pile of treasure, coins, gems, various antique odds and ends, and, notably, she was surrounded by a small horde of animated skeletons. Thank you.
Ooh, so suspenseful. Thank you, Sam. That was great. That was really good. Now I have the honor of introducing MFA graduate Amanda Leahy, who couldn't be here today, but I'll read a poem of hers at the very end. So, despite the upheaval of the pandemic, the Trump years, and the shifts in our program, Amanda Leahy has shown us how to be a poet and thinker. She has demonstrated through her quiet and haunting verse how much art saves and matters more than ever. Prior to her graduate work at VCFA, Amanda Leahy earned her Master of Arts in Teaching and Secondary Education in English Literature from Brown University and her BA magna cum laude from Boston College. Since September 2020, she has served as a managing editor for Hunger Mountain, an editorial intern for Waxwing, and has previously served as assistant nonfiction and poetry editor of Hunger Mountain. Her writing appears in several literary journals and periodicals such as Pank, Memoir Mixtapes, Bodega, Laurel Review, Anthropocene, Pithead Chapel, and others. In her MFA thesis, Town, Amanda Leahy embarks on essayistic gestures through a series of poems, microfiction pieces, microessays, and monologues to observe how people live, work, play, speak, love, hate, and shelter one another within the body of a very small space. Since Amanda could not be here with us today, I am going to read her poem, Quarantine Song, which was featured on the marquee of the Savoy Theater in downtown Montpelier, Vermont, when the pandemic began. So this is Quarantine Song by Amanda Leahy. A shadow passed over the land, and the war began. They closed everything to us. Only our streets remained. And so we took to walking. We took to each other's uncurtained window panes. They took our books. They took items small, numerous, all. They took the new light, spring's open mouth, every child's crown. They took our time. Our hair grew long, our fingers too. Our bones came through. The years they left, they took only the days. Thank you, Amanda, for your presence and your words. Next, I would like to welcome Molly Martin, who will be introduced by our publishing faculty, Tavia Gilbert.
I'm wearing a dress with pockets because that's where I can put Kleenex, because I don't know that I can be in this community without crying in a good way. It's a great honor to have been invited to introduce my friend and my student, Molly Martin, today. This is Molly's moment, the culmination of her considerable commitment, focus, devotion, and courage. And it is in keeping with Molly's spirit that she used her day to make me feel loved and celebrated. As Molly's teacher last fall, I found that she so often did exactly that, reflected back to me my celebration of her talent and her wisdom. I think that's probably in part because Molly is a mother, and she shares that kind of motherly tenderness in community. Those who know her well know what a blessing it is to be the recipient of Molly's unique support and kindness. And though I would have loved to have been in a classroom rather than a Zoom room with Molly and with all the students that I came to truly love, the remote experience gave me the chance to see her actually mothering when her little beautiful moppet darling daughter would come into Molly's room for a hug and a kiss. That was such a joy. I'm so excited to be part of this ceremony, to know that Molly has the fortitude, the resilience, and the determination to mother her own work, nurturing it and midwifing it into existence. I can't wait to see what she creates next. Molly, I'm so proud of you. Congratulations.
Oh, Tavia, thank you so much. I should have had some tissues too. I had written this whole thing and I was like, okay, so I'm just going to read that and I'm going to ignore the tears that may or may not be here. You can't see them on Zoom. We have the stereotype of lonely writers shut away in their cabins or garrets or hobbit holes, downing gallons of coffee or their adult beverage of choice as they scribble feverishly. They might even be using a quill and inkpot. Silly writers. Yes, it's true that muttering lines of dialogue aloud and the need for solitude and focus are common, but so is the need for community. Writers, like all humans, are interdependent, even if some of them act like curmudgeonly hermits. I've been thinking a lot about community lately, especially as we're getting new and confusing guidance from the CDC. And no, this won't be a lecture on the importance of getting vaccinated if you're eligible so you don't spread COVID to children or medically fragile folks. But as I look back at my time at VCFA, I consider what I was hoping to gain in pursuing this degree. Was it the student debt? The stress of juggling a full course load while being a parent? Or am I simply a glutton for spending 3 to 6 hours a day on Zoom? What I wanted was something that I'd been missing since leaving Eugene, Oregon, a writing community. It wasn't until I joined a dedicated group of writers that my own writing took off and eventually was published. I found that I loved helping other writers get their work polished and publication ready, which led to the epiphany that I'm also an editor. Throughout my time at VCFA, I've been challenged to experiment outside my comfort genres, delighted to learn about aspects of the industry I'd never considered, but most importantly, I found a writing community. Many of us are deeply saddened that this is the last class to graduate from the writing and publishing program. I'm happy that the program will live on at Long Island University, and I'm more than a little jealous of the folks moving to New York. To all the VCFA folks, best of luck wherever your writing journey takes you next. And I'll close by reading the acknowledgement of my thesis. I would like to thank my advisor, Dr. David Heska Wanbley-Wyden, who, this isn't in the thesis, but I just want to note his first novel that he published was nominated for an Edgar, which is like the highest award it can get in its genre. So he's awesome. My reader, Erin Stalcup, who is rad as fuck. My professors, that's not in the thesis, by the way, and my creative writing colleagues at Vermont College of Fine Arts. I owe a special debt of gratitude to Sarah Stancliffe and Virginia Booth for numerous coffee chats and late night texts. Without their support, I would never have been able to complete this thesis. I would also like to thank the original EWA members who taught me the power of a writing community, my writing mentor and guru, Eric Witchie, and Daryl Evans, the godmother of all writing in Eugene. Finally, thank you to Erin, Linda, and my kiddo, who, as Tavia mentioned, starred in many a Zoom class. Oh, and no acknowledgement would be complete without a mention of Mom. Pam Green, who taught me how to read and write in the first place. This is still your fault. Thank you.
Thank you, Molly and Tavia. That was so lovely. Thank you. Now I have the honor of introducing MFA graduate Ruth Amara Okolo. I am so delighted to introduce my MFA thesis advisee and talented fiction and nonfiction writer, Ruth Amara Okolo. Amara Okolo is the class of 2021's Emerging Writer Fellow, and she has received our single full-funded scholarship for a mastery of long-form fiction, personal essay, and hybrid prose works. Prior to her graduate studies at VCFA, I love that hug, Ruth Amara Okolo served as a human rights lawyer in Nigeria for several years before turning her career path towards creative writing and literary studies. She is a member of PEN America and in the past year has received awards from the United States Artist Relief Fund, Author Leagues Fund, and was selected for Oxbow School of Art and Artist Residency. She received the Emerging Voices Award by the Oppenheim Fund Financial Times and has been named one of the top 100 influential Nigerian writers in 2017 and 2018. Her work has also been nominated for a Pushcart Prize and featured in 56 Years of Nigerian Literature, Invisible Borders Within, Catapult, Ankara Press, and Commonwealth Writers. Her interviews have also been broadcast on Al Jazeera News, Reuters News Africa, and Radio France International. I am particularly excited to have advised Amara as she wrote her novel, When We Were Wildflowers, for her MFA thesis. Amara's novel focuses on the coming-of-age story of twin sisters, Naikele and Nicolo, who survive a kerosene explosion in southeastern Nigeria, but lose their mother in the process. The twins are adopted by their mother's sister, Auntie Uwa, who is an unconventional feminist and who raises the girls as her own, but cannot protect them from the critical eyes of her neighbors or from the men who exploit them. Amara's novel paints a vivid portrait of young women coming of age against the backdrop of Sani Abacha's dictatorial rule in 1990s Nigeria. Her fiction and nonfiction gives voices to individuals and communities who need to be recorded in history and heard most. I am so proud of Amara's bravery and her ability to be vulnerable and honest and thought-provoking on the page. She is a writer we need now more than ever. Please welcome to the stage, Ruth Amara Okolo.
Thank you. That was such a lovely introduction. I did not expect that at all. Thank you. I'm going to read a very short, I actually had in mind to read something from a memoir that I am writing about my experience with my mother, but I'm going to read something from my thesis. So this is just a very short part from the novel. One night I went to the sea. I lay on its fine white sand. The sea asked, "What do you want from me?" I stretch my legs and say, "I just want you to touch me. I want you to make me feel something, anything." So the waves come crashing towards me and I wake up. But when I awaken, I feel nothing but wetness. We began menstruating on the morning of Auntie Uwa's trial. It may be wrong to say we both started at this exact same time because Nkoli noticed hers at the crack of dawn. I felt mine by mid-morning, right as Mrs. Adindu and Flora were preparing to leave for the courthouse. It was a dense, humid morning. The sun refused to shine. The air felt moist. The clouds threatened rain, but never fulfilled its intimidation. I had been asleep, wrapped in a warm dream, the kind that intrigues the subconscious with clarity by 3 a.m., the hour of the tiger. That was until Nkoli's soft palm nudged me awake. I opened my eyes in the web of drowsiness to see my sister's face looking up at me, stretched tight and with fright, the unders of her eyes darkened with fatigue. "I'm bleeding," she said. I blinked, my vision still colored with sleep. "From where?" She gestured widely toward her pelvis. "From there." A sob sludged from her throat. "Will it ever stop?" My feet hit the ground as I jumped off my bed. "Don't cry, I'll get nights." I hurried to get Philomena, who in minutes confirmed what we had not expected with a smile on her face. "It's called menses. It's nothing to be afraid of," she whispered as she enveloped a crying Nkoli into her arms. "We all bleed from down there. I did the same. It means now that you're growing to be a young woman. Nkoli's eyes were already puffy as she buried her face in Philomena's bosom. But I don't want to be a woman, she cried. Make it stop, Abani. Please, I don't want to be a woman. I'm going to read a very short part of my memoir that I also did. I wrote a little bit of it during the workshop seminar classes first semester, but I reread I kind of changed it again. And this is a very short part of when the trips I'll go with my mother when I was a little girl. When I was a little girl, my mother loved taking me to trade fairs. They were always in the middle of town, right in the city center, so we had to leave early to beat traffic. She would dress me up in jean overalls and Kito sandals, gathering my afro into a puff at the top of my head, like a pineapple. Her sunglasses were neon, her hair straightened stiff with gel. When we drove through the boulevard of our neighborhood in her white Passat, she allowed me lean out of the window, gazing at the blur of green speed by. The smell of the world would surround my nostrils. I identified them as colors: blue for the fresh air, brown for the earth, purple for the sounds of the people, yellow for the sun and the sweat, black for the skin and the birds. But magenta was the color of my mother's smile. There was no specific definition for it hovered on the spectrum of other colors, mixed with the personalities she was: wild, amiable, too loving. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amara. That was lovely. Thank you. Now I have the honor of introducing MFA graduate Noni Salma. Noni Salma is a screenwriter and creative writer to watch. Noni Salma is a transgender filmmaker, writer, and avid film enthusiast whose passion and interest in film was inspired by her experiences growing up in the ever-colorful city of Lagos, Nigeria. She holds a BA in theater arts from the University of Nigeria and has studied filmmaking at the New York Film Academy, where she majored in directing. Her New York Film Academy thesis film, Morning After Midnight, won the first place student film competition award at the Treasure Coast International Festival. And her short documentary, Veil of Silence, premiered at BFI's Flair London's LGBTQ Film Festival and has been screened at the United Nations, EGAL Canada, Foreign Office in Germany, Queer Screen Festival, and Cinehome Film Festival in Spain, where it won second place for Audience Award for Best Short Documentary. Noni Salma is also a Manhattan Film Festival Award winner and a Future Project nominee. I was absolutely honored and delighted to serve as her advisor for her screenplay, Raison d'être. The screenplay follows Aurora Jenkins, a happy-go-lucky trans woman whose world gets overturned when she loses one of her friends to transphobic violence. The script is set against the backdrop of Boogie Down Bronx and follows Aurora as she navigates her dynamic friendships with Jelani, London, and Samaya, her friends who offer a brutal but exciting portrait of New York. She also, Aurora also has on and off again relationships with Flanco and Cole, who are her love interests, which is lovely. The screenplay poignantly explores Aurora's relationship with her mother, Phoebe, who does not fully embrace her daughter, and her relationship with her incarcerated father, Dimitri, for whom she takes long bus trips to visit once a month, and who serves as a sounding board in her life. Raison d'être has been nominated as a semi-finalist for the Screencraft Screenwriting Fellowship this year, and Noni is also a Stowe Story Labs 2021 finalist. Noni Salma is a screenwriter and author to watch, and I cannot wait to see how she shakes up the world of television and film and presents us with new stories beyond the white patriarchal gaze. Please welcome to the stage, Noni Salma.
Thank you so much, Rita. That was so cool. I'm going to read a scene from the screenplay Raising the Tree, and it is a scene that is for a lot of trans women, particularly Black trans women. They're usually not an example of being fully desired in relationships without any form of fetishization. And so for a lot of girls, they stay in relationships that are bad for them because they do not know that, they do not think that they deserve better or they can get better. So this scene, the protagonist, Aurora Jenkins, challenges that notion. And so I'm going to read it. Interior, Aurora's studio apartment, day. Flacco slowly wakes up from sleep. He looks to see Aurora standing across by the kitchen countertop, whisking something in a bowl, a pre-cook or pre-bake, maybe. She's too engrossed or lost in her thoughts to notice him. He rises, stretches his arms, and picks up his clothes from the floor. He dresses up, walks towards her, and wraps his arms around her from behind, kisses her. She barely acknowledges him, just keeps staring what we now see is flour dough. He walks over to the refrigerator, makes to open it, pauses. Something's done on him. He turns, studies her. Flacco, regarding the flour dough. She gonna make that? She gets more active, turns on the stove, grabs a pan. No, fuck it. She drops the pan, turns off the stove, and turns to him. Aurora says, no. A long pause and hard look from him. Her answer is clearly about something more than cooking. Flacco says, you gonna tell me what's going on? She takes a moment to gather her thoughts, looks at him very quietly, very hard. Aurora says, all my life, I was always waiting for someone to save me. Couldn't understand why I was never enough for men to stay around till dawn. I never had someone who wanted to stay. Flacco softens. Aurora says, but you can't save me unless I save me. Flacco says, you know better than to speak to me in codes. This is about the picture and what I said. Aurora says, this is about me. Flacco says, I told you I love you. Aurora says, and love ain't always enough. Flacco says, you can do better than that. Aurora says, what are you saying? Flacco says, listen, I'm too old of a cat to be fooled by a kitten. You want to break up with me? Do it. Don't give me that passive-aggressive bullshit. A waiter's silence as they both take each other in, slipping into the inevitability of this moment. Flacco breaks the stare. Flacco says, you know you ain't some prize, yet you keep making me beg for your love. These rounds are up. Aurora says, and you are? Flacco says, I'm just saying, everyone thinks I'm a joke for being with you. No real future, can't make babies, can't make normal. On Aurora, a bit of disbelief. There's a dark, heavy promise in her eyes. She leans closer to him. Aurora says, I may not be able to make babies or normal, but I promise you, I can make happy. Both their breaths subside. The look of regret washes through him. She walks to the door and opens it. It's a clue for him to leave, and he knows it. He slowly walks to the door, stops, looks at her. From his eyes, a plea, a promise, a thirst within. Flacco says softly, Aurora. She looks away from him, clearly not having it. He first hesitates, then saunters out. She slams the door almost immediately. She doesn't move. Silent tears stream down from her face. Thank you.
That's so powerful, Noni. Thank you so much. Thank you. Next, I would like to welcome Philip Shackleton, who will be introduced by Erin Stalka.
Philip, you too have had a lot thrown at you, and you're turning it into art. Your humor and your intellect have buoyed me many times, and your commitment to literature and music. You always have a book or a song for any occasion. Your own book is hilarious, strange, moving, and profound. And I can't wait to hear the music you're composing to accompany it. Brighter days are ahead of you, buddy. And thank you for brightening mine.
Thank you. I haven't seen this. All I have to set this up is the character is actually in Scotland, and I think it's brief enough and it stands alone. I shouldn't need much more than that. I sat on the deck outside, eating and listening to the music, and saw an older man dressed in the light brown suit at a table about 10 feet away. He looked my way with a creepy yet inviting smile. In the field just adjacent to where we sat, a puffin had landed. The medium-sized black and white bird with a beak that looked too big for its head appeared confused, and it carried a fish. I drew my attention away from the bird and took a chance, and the man had guessed the music had caught my attention. Everyone knows who wrote this piece, but who is performing, I asked. He stared at me with a familiar look, one I'd gotten many times, half eyes closed, mouth forming a crooked smile. He must have been thinking, I see his lips moving and hear sounds coming out, but what is it? Not from around here, he finally asks. Yes, I'm American. He jumped in before I could introduce myself further. I heard that, but not the accent. Helpful, though. He told me his name was Edward. He continued, any music fan from Scotland knows the playing of Frederick Lamond. He was from Glasgow and one of Franz Liszt's last pupils. A greatest of the Beethoven performers in those days, but that long time ago. He opened his eyes in bewilderment like a child expecting a really stupid present on Christmas from a source just a syllable down from Santa. We don't have many recordings of him. I watched the puffin during this conversation. The bird was playing catch with itself, using the fish. It threw it up in the air. The wind would take hold and the bird ran madly about. Meanwhile, Edward waved his arms like he wanted my attention back, or he tried to catch hold of music coming from the cafe. What we have, though, is pure dead brilliant. He shouted his final pronouncement on Lamond's playing, then threw up his arm like a conductor at a moment of crescendo. I talked to Edward for the rest of lunch. He was a political retiree from Edinburgh. He told me the story about Lamond the man, which made it easy to understand why the musician knew the whimsical anger of rage. I needed to listen closely to Edward's story and translate it in my head as well as possible. Despite many years as a drunk myself, the language of drunkenness required close attention. He continued to drink as he spoke. Lamond gave concerts nearly up until the day he died, even after the war broke out. In 1938, he was living in Prague when the Nazis invaded. The pianist was forced to flee and left much behind. I was told by an old man who knew him, Lamond from Glasgow, a Gestapo officer insisted on seeing his passport as he fled. When Lamond showed it to him, and the officer asked, Are you an Aryan? He replied, no, I'm a monkey. It is surprising he was not shot on spot. Lamond shared Beethoven's allergy to authority. Okay, that's all. Should have said that that refers to Rage Over Last Penny, which is part of the music that plays a key role. That was written by Beethoven. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Philip. That was lovely. Next, I would like to welcome Sarah Stancliffe, who will be introduced by poetry and nonfiction faculty, Frankie Ken.
Thank you. Hello, it's so good to see everyone. And I'm actually on campus for the first time all semester, which is really bizarre. And it's lovely. So I may ramble about Sarah. I have too much to say, and they're only good things, but I'll try to keep it short. I first met Sarah in the poetry community in Burlington. And every time I met her in person, she was warm and enthusiastic and filled with ideas. And eventually I got to hear her reading her poems at the Lamp Shop and blown away as just a member of the listening crowd by her poise and articulation and the beauty of her imagery. Her poems are stunning. But she has shifted her genres here to be hybrid and open-minded and flexible. And I've been really impressed with her manuscript, which is in the form of a diary and collage. And it's, I think it really pushes the envelope, and I've been really impressed as a friend and teacher and witness. So it's my honor to introduce you, Sarah, and I look forward to many more communications and reading your work and hearing you hopefully read your poetry again in person.
Thank you so much, Frankie. What a pleasure to be here. And I wanted to say for everybody who's already read and introduced people that I'm so grateful to be in such good company. I don't even have the words. A great situation for a writer to be in. So I'm gonna try to push through the tears. And I'm reading a section from my thesis manuscript, which Frankie described well as being a hybrid, and it's a piece from a Joy journal that was given to some of us students who took a class with Jericho Parms back in the spring of 2020. Jericho gave us these little notebooks to kind of track different things that we found joy in. And this entry is from February 12th, 2020. It was almost 3 p.m. today before I stopped to think, really think about joy, about the small, simple pleasures and delights. But now that I'm considering the delights of the day, I see there are many. Woke up early for class to learn class was canceled. I hadn't gotten ready yet, so I got back in bed. Apple cinnamon rice cakes dipped into the jars of natural crunchy peanut butter and Nutella, a few cool swigs of leftover coffee, and a movie in bed. The giddy, guilty pleasure of shutting out the sun with my curtains and turning my fan back on and lazing in bed in a dim, chilled room when I otherwise would have been up. Familiar smiles, teeth, wrinkles, eyebrows all involved, of kind people behind the cafe counter who hand me a fresh double Americano with a little room for milk and a hot, toasty, buttery egg sandwich, which pinkens my palm through its tinfoil wrapping. Thinking of how every book on these shelves in the library basement has been the book, the source, the answer for somebody's search, project, question at some point in the book's life. Or maybe they haven't all had that attention, which saddens me. So I think of somebody, maybe me, walking through the stacks, trailing fingertips across the spines of each and every book, a touch to make each book shiver with chills of pleasure, the pleasure of being tended to. Sitting on the counter in the dorm basement laundry room on a winter Wednesday morning, spending the last 3 minutes of a wash cycle, letting the sunlight worship the right side of my face and neck and shoulder like a lover smoothing kisses caressingly across my skin. Free printing in the library. The timbre of Jim the librarian's voice and how his long gray ponytail reminds me of my Champlain College poetry teacher Jim's long gray ponytail and certain timbre. The art, the performance, the experience of a phone call. Being happy, pleased, and content without needing to overthink all of that. These book titles in my line of sight. Chemistry of the covalent bond, the science of life, the lives to come.
So beautiful, Sarah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Next, I would like to welcome Corey Schwartz, who will be introduced by Erin Stalka.
Corey, you show up for everything you do. Whether it's having a whiskey with me at 3 Penny on Christmas Eve, to coaching your kids' sports, to being a dad, being a partner, being a friend, giving a shit about politics, giving a shit about your friends, checking up on me, being a musician, being a writer. I am astounded by your talent, your good nature, and your being fully present wherever you are. Every space is better to have your energy in it. Your music is going to make you famous, but your writing is too. I'm grateful for your voice.
Oh, Corey, I think you have to unmute there.
Yep. So thank you, Erin. That was way too kind, and I'd like to also thank Rita and Rob and Justin and James and all who were generous enough to work with me. think it's been quite an experience watching this community flourish, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. I really have. I'd also like to thank my whole family, my aunts, my parents, my wife, my children. I wouldn't be able to do anything without these fine people. Yeah, I'll read something super short from a story. It's called Bill Doobie. We piled into the gray jalopy, and Bill had a lot of trouble with the ignition, which made me pause. I had to show the man how to turn the car on. He said he had never driven a Chrysler before, but maybe he had never driven before. I was riding shotgun and Irene was in the back. I gave her a look of hopeful caution, and we were off down Arapahoe. After about a minute, we made the right on 9th and then a left on Mapleton. All the while, Bill was going on in a laconic drawl about the intricate dramas of his life, mostly revolving around an unnamed music venue and 2 women and a man who he may be cohabitated with at an apartment somewhere. He told us that he was house sitting up the canyon, and that when we got there, he'd leave to go back downtown and give us full reign of his house, which was perched on the side of a mountain. As we passed the Seventh-day Adventist church on the way into Sunshine Canyon, the sun fell behind the hills, and Bill Doobie's cadence started to break off and shake. We wound up Sunshine Canyon Drive in the dark, Bill refusing to drive the car past 15 miles an hour, making it seem like the drive was taking forever. There were no other cars on the road. And he would dip in and out of speech and seemingly consciousness, often in mid-story, where he would just stop with a straight face, like he wasn't talking to anybody and was completely alone. At these moments, I'd look back at Irene with trepidation, and I could see the fear in her eye. The drive was interminable. Emaciated evergreens lolled past our windows, shaking their bony fingers at us. It took so long to get by each one that I felt we could do better by walking. It was pitch black now, with only the occasional fractured bit of light shining through from a random compound. It looked like a scene from Blue Velvet or Twin Peaks. At one point, Bill started talking about his mother and went off on a tirade, getting a bit too aggressive. Then he did his patented trail off. Irene and I started to wonder if this would be our last ride. It wasn't funny anymore. The Norman Bates routine was a bridge too far, as we crossed an iron one that straddled the burbling stream like an elegant neck bone over a jugular. The road went on in emptiness, and it seemed like we were driving all night, though it may have only been 40 or 50 miles. Then I heard the crickets. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Corey. Thank you. Next, I'd like to welcome to the stage Hassan Alshiouk, who will say a few words of thanks.
Hi, everyone. Just in case I missed someone to thank, I want to thank my community here at VCFA. We've been through a lot, faculty and students, each one of you. I see you. Even if we lost touch towards the end, I still love and cherish every single moment we shared throughout this experience. I also want my to thank my family who surprised me by being here. We had a rocky friendship and relationship, and I want to thank my mom and dad, Zainab Khalifa, Ali Shioukh, my sisters, my 5 sisters, Nisreen, Nasha, Rasmiya, Amira, Huda. I wouldn't have been here without you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Hassan. Next, I'd like to welcome to the stage Zoe Adam, who would like to say a few words.
Hi, yeah, all my writing talent erased all my talent to tell time, but I'm here now. So I want to say thanks to pretty much everybody in the program, faculty-wise, Rita, Aaron, Micaiah, Tavia, David Shields, Tim, everybody. You guys are all awesome, and you've made this year really great despite all the challenges it held because of COVID and everything else. And I also want to say thanks to the second years and the people in my class, because you've all been a great writing community. I've learned so much from you, and yeah, I've grown, really, really close to a lot of you people. So I'm definitely going to miss you second years. Good luck to you, and, good luck to us going on forward. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to pause here for a moment to see if any of our graduates or faculty would like to say any final words or any words of thanks before we go on to the next portion of our ceremony. So if you do, just raise your hand or unmute if you'd like to say a couple words. Just Yes, Frankie Cannon.
I just want to say that I have loved teaching here and it's been one of my favorite jobs. I've worked a lot of jobs, so I will miss this place. Not that I will be very far. I'm in Burlington, but it really has been one of the best communities to work with. And these students, all of you are astounding and so talented. And I'm intimidated by each and every one of you. And I always have been as I've been teaching here several years. So thank you, everyone. And I really enjoyed this process. I hope that you did too.
Thank you so much, Frankie. Dave.
Oh, hey, I just wanted to congratulate all of the graduates and say that it was my honor and pleasure. And Molly, it has been and is such a fantastic privilege to work with you. And I just know that your writing is going to just kill it. But congratulations to everybody that I worked with, Darla, everyone. It was wonderful and my privilege. And please stay in touch. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you. Just scanning the room to see if anyone else wants to say thank you or any final words. So amazing to see so many of our alums and faculty here this afternoon, which is great. Tavia, yes.
I just want to say that I didn't know before I was a teacher how much teachers learn from their students. And while we are in the very fortunate position of having that title, you all have that title for me. The time that we spent together this fall was a blessing, and you're all a blessing, and I love you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Tavia. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks to our alums for saying congratulations as well. Thank you. I just wanted to give a huge shout out to Micaiah Bay-Galt, to Trini Dalton and Juliana Baggett for directing this program and establishing it and hiring the wonderful folks who work in this program before I joined. It's been such an honor and pleasure to work with you. I've said this earlier, but thank you, Erin Stalcup. You are so brave and have been such a bedrock this year and just such a talent and support. Thank you to Lizzie Fox, who I've learned so much from. Was so lovely to work with, and I feel her presence all the time in this program. So
Rita,
yeah,
I feel like you're always emceeing every event, and so you're thanking everybody else, and so I feel like can we take a moment just to thank you for everything you have done, everything you have brought to this program. Thank you just from the bottom of my heart for doing, everything that you've done for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So we will open up at the very end of our program another round of thanks and congratulations as we get there. So thank you again, everyone, for those beautiful introductions, for the wonderful readings, and for those beautiful words. Now, here is the moment that you have all been waiting for. First, I would like to congratulate our students, Zoe Adam, Imelda Guatima, and Eli Jacobs for a job well done, and confer upon them the Certificate in Publishing from the MFA in Writing and Publishing program at the Vermont College of Fine Arts. Congratulations. And now for our MFA in Writing and Publishing candidates, I would like to say, by the power vested in me by the president of the Vermont College of Fine Arts and its board of trustees, and with the authority of the great state of Vermont, I confer upon each of you the degree of Master of Fine Arts in Writing and Publishing with all the rights and privileges pertaining hereto. Congratulations. And feel free to unmute and just applaud and say congrats. Congratulations.
Yay, Sarah.
Bravo.
Yay!
Congratulations, all of you.
We did it, guys.
Amazing.
Congratulations, everyone. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Awesome. Congratulations. Congratulations to the class of 2020.
Congrats, everyone.
I love all you guys. I love all of you guys, and I'm gonna miss you. As weird as it's been.
Absolutely. Yes, let's keep in touch, definitely. So congratulations to the class of 2021. It's been an absolute honor and pleasure to work with all of you. I'm so proud of all that you have accomplished and all the stories and imaginations that you have shared with us. I cannot wait to see the new futures that you all create and how you change our culture each day with your words. Thank you to the friends, the family members, the loved ones, the faculty, the VCFA staff who have joined us to celebrate our graduating MFA in Writing and Publishing and Certificate in Publishing class of 2021 students today. Feel free to unmute and give a warm round of applause and congratulations to our grads. And before we end the ceremony, I just wanted to say, for those who live near VCFA or in Montpelier or in the state of Vermont, we look forward to celebrating with you further at our graduate reception on campus from 6 to 8 p.m. today in front of Crawley Hall on the patio. We'll be enjoying some food, refreshments, and good conversation. And for those who are joining us, please remember to wear your mask and social distance as necessary. See you soon. And again, congratulations to everyone. Congratulations.
Yay!
Yes. Thank you. Feel free to say congrats and thanks and so on. We're going to listen to some music as we do that. So congratulations, everyone.
Right on.
Woo!
Woo!
Punishing.
Congratulations.
Right on.
Nice.
Oh, so wonderful.
Thank you. Richard's baby is here.
I just wanted to share with everybody a shirt that my husband got me that I think you'll all like.
Yeah.
And he also got me this cup. So just know, for all of us, we are all 1 degree hotter now.